Okay, welcome to our basic guide to a map called Airfield. So called because, stunningly enough, it has an airfield. It also has loads of other really interesting things in it. Fuel tanks that blow up when you roll over them, tents you can smash to pieces, and even have planes that fly overhead. So what can you expect? Well, this is a map where you're on the east side or the west side. Let's go through all the different units, tell you where you're going to be. Scouting. Interesting map this for scouting. You can just drive around like a lunatic and do your active scouting, but most people do the passive scouting. You'll often see scouts zip really quickly up to B5 or B6 or B7, hide behind little rocks. And what they're doing is they're popping out, trying to stay alive, and they're trying to get sighting down the 4, 5, 6 and 7 line. And that's because that's where most of the bombardment and fight's going to happen. If you get a scout up there, they are going to cause you trouble. The temptation is to go and winkle them out. If you're going to do that, I'd shoot them from a distance because it's a lot of open space. The airfield, no less. We sometimes see scouts over at B9, we'll get to that bit in a moment. The other place scouts go is they'll often be at 4 and 7 round about G and J. And what they're doing is they're doing scouting on the plateau. They're trying to see from the plateau into the enemy base and to give covering shots to where the TDs are. So scouts, that's basically your mission. Mediums, interesting map for mediums, you'll often see them zoom over to E5 and 6. If you're on the west side of the map, you then drop down to E5, there's a little dip there, and from that you can do some pro play. You're helping to spot for the big heavy battle. You're also overlooking the plateau and you're giving side shots. It's a really great place. And you've got a mirror over on E7 where the team on the east do exactly the same thing. Mediums will also do vision control and try and take care of the plateau in the middle, and they're trying not to get suckered into a little road. Speaking of that, I should talk to you about the road. There's a road. It starts at G4, works its way to F5 and 6, and then comes out again on G7, and it's basically made out of magnets. Anyone who sees this road and doesn't know what they're doing thinks, I should go there. I can totally win. And maybe you can. I've seen it done, though not very often. It's a death trap. For TDs on this map, if you're on the west side, you're going to head over to D1 and 2, maybe go to C2 as well. Your job there is to put a lot of fire down to the E6 heavy battle. You'll also see TDs go to F3 or 4. It's more of a defensive move. You're helping control the plateau. You're also shooting down the 4 line if someone comes down the ocean. Cover that in a minute. Some TDs stay at base. If they're on the west side, they stay around about G3. They're also shooting into the plateau and killing anyone who's going on that suicide road I mentioned. And you also find TDs on the west side down at K2. All they're doing at K2 is murdering anyone who's trying to come via the ocean. Playing on the east side, you will see TDs pretty much at mirrors. You'll see them at K and J8, guarding in case anyone comes on the ocean. At base, then they usually loiter around about G8 or 9, shooting down Suicide Road and Plateau. And you get some strange places on the east side as well. D8, go up a slope, hide there. You can have a great time as a TD. Just be careful you don't get spotted. There's those pesky scouts I mentioned. If you don't get spotted, you can wreck and ruin here, laying down fire on E6. I've often seen really fast TDs head all the way up to B9 or 0. That's a pro play. You can go up there, but you better know what you're doing. You're pretty much covering fire for anyone who's going to try and north round D6 with their heavies. Speaking of heavies, every single heavy in the game is heading to E6. There's going to be huge close quarter combat there. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be wreckage. If your TDs are doing their job, they're going to punish people for poking around. If your mediums are doing their job, they're going to spot them really quickly. If your scouts are doing their job, you're going to light everyone up. And if the heavies are doing theirs, they're side scraping, they're peekabooing, they're murderating everyone. Of course, while all that's going on, a couple of heavies, for reasons unknown to everyone, are trying to attack via the ocean. They're there trundling along the K line, and if nobody's there, they're going to cause trouble. That's the reason we're going to park those TDs over at K2 and over at K8. I've seen this push done over and over again. If done quickly by a team that doesn't know what they're doing, it can totally succeed. Against most other teams, you're going to get killed. And that's because you're going to get RT'd. Speaking of RT, you're pretty much going to be on the 1 line if you're on the west side. You're going to be on the 0 line if you're on the east side. If you're on the west side, you often see them at C1, C2. You can see them at F1. If they stay at base G1, I don't know what you're doing there. And sometimes you see them down at J and K, but mostly they're at C and D because they're going to be needed for that great big heavy fight we talked about. Over on the east side, where you're going to see them at J, H and G0, and really fast ones will often go all the way up to B0. Let me tell you, that's a pro/suicide move. But if it works for you, hey, try it out. Close quarter combat is everything the airfield is about. It's mostly going to be at E6, the heavies are going to be there. Some lunatics are going to make an ocean play no matter what you do. Some people are going to be on the plateau trying to fight it out, and someone undeniably is going to go down that suicide road. Get into position, wait for the enemy, have a great time. Oh, just to be clear, if there's some scouts up there on B5, 6, and 7, kill them. Kill them immediately. They are a pain in the ass.